Hi, welcome. I'm Lisa Saunders with PAC-B TV, and I actually have an old friend from Mystic on our show today. Welcome, Michael Whitehouse.
Thank you, Lisa Saunders. It's great to be on your show again.
It's nice to see you. You've been doing a lot of business coaching and personal coaching to help people learn how to use their skills, right? To find
That's what I've been doing. It's been
work.
huge. Yep.
Yeah, okay. And actually, that's what you've taken off now, and that is really what you're doing full time now. Is that right?
Pretty much, yeah. I saw a need, and I've always loved coaching people. I've always loved giving advice, helping untangle people's problems. I'd much rather solve someone else's problem than my problem, because your problem is so much easier for me to deal with than my problem, because it's outside.
Well, I met you probably at a networking event, and that is your main. How you really got into this business is you are a major networking person. And this is how you have learned to connect people and help them improve in their own businesses by helping to connect them to the right people.
Definitely, yeah. And I talk about a lot about that in my book, The Guy Knows a Guy, which, well, I wrote it. You were actually the one who inspired it in the first place, because I went to one of your talks. You said everyone should write a book. And I said, oh, I know some stuff about networking. I should write a book about it.
Well, I enjoyed it. Actually, it's really funny. So people can find that on Amazon, right?
Yep. Yeah, actually, if you go to my website, guywhoknowsaguy.com, you can just click on the link there instead of trying to search through their funny algorithms.
And it's a very inexpensive book. So, I mean, it's a great read. Now, we want to talk today about how you are helping businesses and individuals actually even learn to make a living online, because a lot of people have been laid off. And you're trying to help people figure it out, how to work from home. Is that primarily, or some of what you're doing?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and I always make clear that, if you're making $100,000 a year and you got laid off and you want to just hop online and start making that money, that's going to be a little tough. But if you're making minimum wage, you're working at a grocery store, McDonald's, Walmart, you're making $10, $12, $15 an hour, whatever minimum wage is these days. And so I talk to people and they say, I'm making $300, $350 a week and I'm stuck in my job. I can't leave. And I point out to them that there's a lot of ways you can make that kind of money online remotely fairly easily.
Okay, so what are some of your suggestions? What are some of your ideas?
Yeah, well, a lot of this comes down to the fact that businesses are willing to spend what to an individual may seem like a lot of money on things that an individual might not spend, like say web design. Most people under 40 can design a website, at least on Wix or WordPress or something like that. But the average business owner either doesn't have the time or inclination or knowledge to make their own website. They're busy. They're doing what they're doing. And often a business owner's time is worth $100, $200 an hour, just because it's better for them to be doing that than going on YouTube, watching videos on how to make websites, figuring out what the new ways WordPress works are and whatever. So if you can make a website for them, even a simple one sometimes, they'll pay $300, $500, even $1,000 if it's a little more involved for you to make that website. And most people, as I said, most people under 40 and plenty over 40. I don't want to discriminate against folks over 40, but most millennials, which is basically people under 40 these days, they've made a couple websites for themselves or for their hobby or their club or whatever. And if you can do that, you can make a simple website for a contractor, a roofer, a cleaning company, someone like that, and they'll pay $300, $500, $800 for that. And if you were making $300 a week and you got laid off from your job and you got someone who will pay you $600 to make a website, well, do that 3 times a month, you replaced your income. And
you're right, because there's a lot of people who don't have the time or knowledge just to even use the simple template. That's a really, okay, so that's one of your ideas. And a lot of young people know how to do it. They don't even realize that people over 40 think that's a really cool skill.
Yeah. Like, you could design websites, but of course I can also open a door and put on pants, but people will pay me for that. I think that's some of it. And then there's other things like copywriting. I know a couple social media consultants who will pay $25 an article to write blog articles. And these aren't research projects. These are simple 300, enough to trigger SEO, 300 to 500 words. They've got to use a certain phrase a few times. And other than that, the details often aren't important. You don't need to be an expert in the subject to copyright. And you get good at it, you get comfortable, you can write a blog article in 30 to 45 minutes. Do the math on that, $25 an article, 45 minutes to write it. And all of a sudden, again, you're replacing the income for that $12 an hour job. And that's just 2 examples. There's There's all kinds of
So
other
how
things.
would you go about finding, like, say businesses need content for their website.
Mhm.
So you're saying you would contact a business. First of all, if they don't have a good website, you would say, gee, do you want me to
Yeah.
design that?
Yep.
And I actually know something about your industry, or I could interview you if you give me the questions,
Mhm.
and I could write content for your website. So those are some of your ideas of ways for people to, okay, make money
Right.
from their homes.
Yeah. And the first step is shift your own mindset. Because when I work with my clients, the first thing is they're thinking, and they often come to me saying, you're a networking expert. Can you help me network to find my next $16 an hour job? And my answer is usually yes, but you don't want me to. But I can certainly teach you how to get another $16 an hour job. Once I inventory their skills, I say, well, you can do this and this and this and this, and this is what the market pays for those things if you're willing to do that work. Now, some people will be like, no, you know what? I understand what marketing is. I don't want to do it. Give me the networking skills. I just want to go find the job.
Right.
So there's certainly ways to do that, and I do teach that. There's a chapter on it in my book. But for a lot of people, they actually find jobs to be very unstable. They might get laid off at any point. Their hours may change. I know one person, she's being written up because she insists on leaving on time. Her shift ends at 9 a.m., working overnight. She has to get home to take care of the kids, distance learning stuff. And they say, can you stay till 10? No, I have to go now. I've got kids. Okay, we're writing you up. Crazy. So when people talk about their stable day job, stable isn't the word to describe it for a lot of people.
Right.
So there's that stability and control. So the first step is to shift your mindset from I'm an employee to I'm a business owner, even if it's a business with zero revenue and zero assets.
Right.
But once you do that, come up with a name, and the name could be as simple as your name, Lisa Saunders Productions, or Joe Schmo Marketing, Joe Schmo Agency, whatever it is, so that you can then call it a business.
Right.
Maybe make a little website, because if you're under 40, you know how to do that. And if you're over 40, you probably do. And if not, find one of those kids, give them $300, they'll make a website for you.
Right.
So, and just a simple calling card website that says, here's who I am, here's what I do, is my phone number, contact me. And then just start reaching out to people. And this is the thing a lot of people, I think, get tripped up on. In the internet age, we have this idea of you can email your way, you can social media your way to success. Oh, I made a post on Facebook, nobody answered. Well, of course. That's like you hung a Post-it note on your front door, nobody answered. It takes the way social media is structured. You can't just put up a post and expect the world to beat a path to your door. You need an engaged strategy. And sometimes that means reaching out to people, sending Facebook messages, calling, dropping in. I don't recommend dropping in right now, but when things are safer, dropping in, engaging, networking, and just putting out the word, hey, I do this. I do low-cost websites. Because no matter how many web designers there are out there, and there's a zillion of them, when somebody needs one, they can't find them. They're going on Google.
And they
they're
don't
like,
want to go with somebody they've never seen before. That's
right, of
why
course.
now you're doing, you're really big on people networking, but now that people can't socialize really successfully, you are now holding Zoom networking meetings, right?
Yeah, so I do some virtual networking events. Although what's happening with some of those is I did one last night. It turned into a kind of a virtual mastermind because we didn't have enough people to get a proper networking event. But so we always just started working on each other's problems, which is fantastic networking, great connection.
Wonderful.
And a local.
I'm sorry. How can people get on your? First of all, people are going to want to get your newsletter because you give a lot of free tips, and you actually give a free consultation as well, right? So how do they get your newsletter?
So you go to guywhoknowstheguy.com, and it's not the guy, it's just guywhoknowstheguy.com /subscribe is how you go to the newsletter. But if you go to guywhoknowstheguy.com, you'll find everything, a list of what I do, kind of things I focus on, as well as links to my podcast. I have 2 podcasts where I share tips and advice. But yeah, so guywhoknowstheguy.com /subscribe, get you on the newsletter, and that informs you of everything else going on. And actually, when I ran the virtual speed networking, I connected with one of our local chambers of commerce and asked them to help me promote it. And they said, totally. And by the way, we're trying to do that as well. Do you want to run ours too? I said, okay, yeah, sure. So we'll still be running that. But yeah, there's a lot of ways to connect online as well. It's usually, again, involve more active engagement. Again, you can't just make a post and be like, who wants to meet? Some people might connect, but you really just need to send out messages. LinkedIn is great for this. You can actually find people you're looking to connect with because they're in the right category, right area. Click connect, and then send them a message. Hey, I see you also live in my town. I'd love to connect and do a virtual, virtual networking session. So
I can't believe so. You used to sell ad space, or you were the publisher of magazines,
Yep,
several actually, and you're moving out of that to do this full time, be a coach to businesses and individuals.
Yeah, and the magazine was a great company to work with. I love them, but yeah, and actually they give me the space to really develop this, because I didn't just become a coach in July.
Right. You've been doing this since I met you in a way.
High school, really.
Yeah, you just love connecting people.
Yep.
And you have you have a ton of ideas. So this is what you share with people, right? You talk to them and say, "Oh, this is what I think you should, move into," and you help them find the right people.
And a lot of what I do when I coach, I discovered. So when I first went into it, I thought, okay, I need a program. And I'm like, I'm going to focus on the networking because I wrote a book on it, and I'll have a curriculum and a structure. And I then started coaching people. I'd be like, yeah, I don't need that. What I need is you to help me figure out. And what I've discovered is one of my kind of tongue-in-cheek slogans is I help people who are better than me become better than they are. So everyone I work with is better than me at whatever they do.
Right.
They're a better web designer than me. They're a better organizational coach than me. They're a better sprinkler installer than me. They're a better copywriter than me. But what I do for them is I draw out what they need from themselves and give them the confidence, help them adjust their self-identity, which I know we start to get into kind of woo-woo sounding things. Be like, oh, I change your self-concept and self-esteem. But it really is important. If you see yourself as struggling, you struggle. You act in that way. If you see yourself as an employee, you act like an employee. If you see yourself as a business owner, you act like a business owner.
So give us some more of your free ideas on how we would figure out what it is we're good at. Do you have things that people can, do you have some ideas on other ways people can figure it out?
Well, so there's two things. So one simple exercise is sit down with a piece of paper and a pen, or computer if you prefer, and make a list of every skill you have, everything you're good at. And then make a second list next to it of everything you like doing. And hopefully there'll be some overlap between them, because sometimes people really I love practicing karate. I'm not very good at it. So it wouldn't be on both lists. But, look at that, and then look at those lists and think about what would somebody pay for. What on this list might somebody need me to do for them? And a way to think about that, because you might not know. You might be thinking that websites, everyone can do that, for example. But don't so much think about would somebody pay for this, but does somebody need this done? So a business owner might know how to make a website. Doesn't mean they have time to do it.
Right.
So if you're a business owner, and to any business owners watching, if you're a business owner and your business is doing pretty well, now if you're idle 30 hours a week, then by all means do your own work. But if your business is doing pretty well and you're busy and you don't have time, you shouldn't be designing your own website unless you're a web design business. You shouldn't be even waiting in line at the DMV if you're able to have someone else do that. You shouldn't be doing your own shopping. You should be hiring other people to do that, because your time is worth more. Anytime you can hire someone for less money than your time is worth, you just made money. If you can make $100 an hour doing your work, and you can hire someone for $25 an hour to write blogs for your website, or design your website, or do the odd jobs and make the bank runs for you, you just made $75 an hour in the difference. So flipping that around, now the issue, now if you're that person who is looking to make money, what are the things that business owners do that are unprofitable activities for them that you could do for them? And that's where you get designing your website. That's where you get copywriting, and even just odd job kind of things, be their assistant, virtual assistant.
Being somebody's assistant.
Yep.
We only have a couple minutes left. I think you hit on it in the beginning. I think we should talk a little bit about it more. Once you figured out what it is you're good at and what you like to do, that's where I gave you that, when I gave my talk, you should write a book, because even if it's a skinny little book, then you have something to hand out and you can say, I am the author of, and then people can really get to know you better through a book. And people don't like to throw away books because they feel guilty.
Definitely true. Yeah. Yeah. If you have a particular skill, and a lot of the general advice I give assumes you have no particular skill. You kind of have the generic skill set that folks have. But if there's something you're particularly good at, if you're an artist, if you're quite good at whatever it is, if you can write a 24-page book, you can put it on. I guess it used to be CreateSpace, now it's Kindle Direct Publishing, but you can put it on Amazon, and now you've got a book and you're an author, and that gives you additional credibility. So you can make a website, write a 24-page book, put it on Amazon, and now you're not an employee, you're a business owner, author.
Right.
And that generates, and the most important thing that's going to do for you, besides giving you credibility when you talk to people, is going to give you credibility in your own mind. Because with the marketing strategy I use, people don't generally check my credentials. I mean, they will look at my social media to see if I'm putting out content and whatnot, but they're not asking me how long have you been doing this or whatever. And part of it's because I'm coming across with confidence because I know I'm good at it.
Right.
So, and that's the biggest thing is to realize also you don't have to be the best in the world. If you're making $300 websites, you're not going to be the best web designer in the world, because the best web designer in the world is not charging $300. They're not even charging $300 an hour. They're charging more than that. You're in a different niche of you're getting the job done. And the problem you solve is not they need a website, so I made them a great website. The problem you solve is they don't have time to make a website at all. You sold them 4 hours of their life back. And so when you think of it that way, that you're solving that need, checking off the boxes for them, they will gladly pay you $500 to not have to worry about that website thing.
All right, well, we're going to finish up now, and please remind people how they can get your newsletter, because I find it very interesting. Some of it doesn't apply to me at all, but I just enjoy watching your brain work and see what you're doing next. So remind people again how they can get your newsletter.
So go to guywhoknowsaguy.com, and if you go to guywhoknowsaguy.com/subscribe, that'll take you straight to the newsletter. Sign up. But guywhoknowsaguy.com, you will find the newsletter. You'll find links to both of my podcasts. One is a daily kind of motivational quick tips, and one is more of a Q&A kind of structure. And also you'll find links to other events coming up and whatever's going on, because I know this is going to be rebroadcast, and who knows what I'll be doing 2 months from now. I'm sure I'll be helping people, sure I'll be coaching.
And you have a lot of, so even though you're calling in from actually Groton, Connecticut, people, you have online events. So people in Baldwinsville, New York, where I'm at, that's what you can see in the background is the Seneca River. This is near where I live. Anyway, since you have online events, they can join in too.
Yep. Yeah, and currently I'm online only. So I have clients in Florida, Georgia, Kenya, Saudi Arabia.
Oh, wow. You're getting more interesting all the time.
Yeah. So
all right. Well, thank you, Michael, so much. And I hope I can think of another thing to interview you about someday.
Be happy to come back on. Thanks for having me on the show.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.